All right, we live.
Mhm. Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh. Double honors to the apostle elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. I'm the brother Shalom. I'm here joined by the brother Ashiyar and the brother Shamyar. And we're a little late, but we want to take our time within, watch the movie a couple of times. So we're gonna go into the movie Sinners, do like a movie review. So if you haven't seen it, this will be spoilers, especially with me here. I'm definitely spoiled. So, but just want to go through some of the spiritual aspects of the things that happen in the movie, because that movie has a lot of spiritual stuff now. That movie was obviously well liked by Israelite, Jake, our people, so-called blacks. But when you listen to Edomites watch the movie, they didn't really take too kind to it. Didn't really like it because they're not going to see the spiritual inference. I guess you could say the spiritual connections in the movie and things like that. Because number one, they're not us, and number two, they're just not going to get it. That's why if you talk to Edomite about the movie, they'll say, "Yeah, it was alright. I guess it was just a vampire movie or whatever." But they don't see the spiritual aspects in the movie like we saw. That's why when you watch videos like on YouTube or whatever, or you may see some clips on Instagram, Jake is going all into the movie. Like, this movie is the greatest movie ever. And it's like, it was an okay vampire movie, but it has a lot of spiritual connections, spiritual things that if you pay attention, your eyes are open, you'll see connections to the scriptures. So we just want to bring those couple of things out, and Lord's willing, it's edifying. If you brothers had Slacky, anything you want to start off with as well, and then we could just go into that what I mentioned.
Yeah. Well, since you mentioned what you just said, I'm gonna get this right because this actually came up in yesterday's lesson too, with the brothers, and excuse me, it came up because we were talking about movies and how the Lord speaks through movies, and people watch it for entertainment, but a man with spiritual eyes is watching it with a different, kind of viewpoint perspective, right? So this is Job 33 and 14. For God speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth it not, right? So, for example, just like in the movie, a lot of our people, they like the movie. They might have sensed, because, our people are still spiritual people, even though they're asleep. Um, but they probably sensed something in their spirit was like, yeah, something about this movie. It's speaking to my spirit, but they don't really understand what they're watching half the time because it's a lot of biblical references in that movie that if you don't have a knowledge of the Bible, you're not going to know that. Even outside of the truth, there was people you can go on YouTube. There's breakdowns of the movie that will show you a lot of those references, which Lord's will, we can get into some of those. But very spiritual movie, as the brother said, and the Lord was definitely there was definitely a big message for the elect, in that movie for brothers that have eyes to see and ears to hear, brothers that have the Rakak Wadash. You can definitely see going throughout the whole movie, even leading up to the end, which we can touch on that towards the end of this lesson too. But very many, many different spiritual references in that movie. So very spiritual movie, and a lot of things for us to speak about. So you can go ahead and if you had anything, show me also.
Yeah,
Feel free to jump in.
yeah, real quick. Like before we get started, like is the movie was actually considered a musical, and it was really roughly based on a jazz musician, blues musician named Robert Johnson, who was said to have sold his soul to sell records or to be a popular musician. And this movie was roughly based on his not accurately, I guess, but his path to success in music. And it took place, back during the times where jazz and blues was, was a big thing amongst Jake, in the 1930s. But it shows you even the music industry then, you would have to pretty much make that covenant with death. And I think we're gonna get that. I don't know if we want to get that yet. But I was trying to find that scripture. If he have need of thee, you will find him there, or he would dwell amongst you. Talking about Esau. If brother know where that's at, I've been looking for it.
I got you. I believe that's Sirach 13. Hold up.
Come. Because without Israelites, the music industry, entertainment, sports as a whole would be dry. Because we bring the salt, because we're the salt of the earth. You got it. Come.
Yeah, I got it.
Come.
So this is Sirach chapter 13. I'll start verse 3. The rich man had done wrong, and yet he threatened it withal. The poor is wronged, and he must entreat also. If thou be for his profit, he will use thee. But if
That's
thou
right.
slack it.
My bad. And if thou be for his profit, hey, look what he's doing to all the so-called popular musicians, even to today. And once he don't have no more need of you, hey, you come falling down hard. Look at Bill Cosby. Look at a lot of these musicians and artists. Once Esau's pretty much done with them, he disposed of them in a very bad way. A lot of the so-called Edomite musicians, if they're Edomites, some of them like they ride off into the sunset. But not Israelites, not Jake. You got it up.
Right. Verse 4 again. If thou be for his profit, he will use thee. But if thou have nothing, he will forsake thee.
And that's just what I just said. He will forsake you. Hey, you worth more to this devil in the music and entertainment once you're dead. Because they own your catalogs. Or I forget the other word for it, but they pretty much own you. They make more money off of you dead than they would alive. Look at Tupac. They probably made more money off him being dead than he actually made when he was alive in his career. We got it out. It was more on that.
Yep. Verse 5. If thou have anything, he will live with thee. Yea, he will make thee bear and will not be sorry for it.
Hey, look, they allow Jake when they get to that plateau to live in their communities. Esau right there, But you won't see Esau in the hood because he can make more money off you as you are living in the hood, killing each other, at each other's throats. But if you are of some type of profit for him, sure you can live in my gated community, Sure, hey, you could even come to the cookout. But I bet you when the time come, he will let you know that he's the devil that the Bible been speaking of all the time. You got it out.
I had something to pull up real quick because of based off what you said, right? Check this out, right? I asked on Google just now because of what you mentioned, right? You said that they're worth more dead, right? So it said, do labels have an insurance policy on the death of artists? Now it's a little slick because when you ask Google, I just asked them, do they have an insurance policy on artists? They kind of act like try to go into health insurance, but when you get the right prompt on this AI shit, they be telling a lot of shit. So look what it says. Yes, music labels often take out life insurance policies on their artists, also known as key person insurance. I mean, come on, man. You are a walking lick now, and they got the value out of you because while you're alive, you were able to display your value by your talent, your music, selling records, right? And once they look at you and they're like, we got this big monster insurance policy on you. Shit, if you just get knocked off by coincidence, wink, wink, shit, we're gonna make money either way.
Yeah. Hey, whether it's the insurance policy or let's just say it's an artist that actually put out a catalog of music and they could actually make money off it once you die. Hey, wouldn't it make more of a business sense in Esau mind to take you out?
Mm-hmm. That's why it's called the death clause. Look, what is the death clause in the music industry? If an artist were to die, no matter the cause, then the record labels are privileged to get the money made. You see? And that's why they talk about selling your soul, literally. Your whole likeness, your everything is owned by them now. You see, we're already owned by them because of social security number and all that shit. But
Right.
you are now you taking it to the next level. It's like putting an awl in your ear. Where it says in the law that you want to be a slave for your whole life to this person. That's what you basically doing. That's why you're going to see a lot of those artists popping up with something, with that thing with that MOTB up in them, pushing it. But it says potential for posthumous premium. The death of an artist can sometimes lead to a significant increase in demand for their existing and unreleased music. The posthumous premium, which can benefit the label financially. The insurance policy allows the label to recoup their initial investment in the artist. Key person insurance compensates the label for losses that would arise from the death or extended incapacity of the artist, protecting their investment. I mean, come on, death clauses, ethical concerns. Like they ever care about ethics, man.
Right. As if the
Yeah,
devil is ever ethical.
right. You got it. If you had some more on that.
Yeah, it was. I think it was more on that Sirach.
Come. I'll read verse 6. Yeah, verse 6. If he, Sirach chapter 13, verse 6. If he have need of thee, he will deceive thee and smile upon thee
Hey,
and put
sign
thee in
it.
hope.
Hey, my bad. Sign here. We're gonna give you an advance. Hey, you need somewhere to live. Hey, we'll even start you off in your own gated community. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? He have need of thee, and he will deceive thee and smile upon thee. You know what I'm saying? Hey, they cheesing from ear to ear when you in that. Hey, look at how what's that New York nigga that was dancing on top of the table for Esau? Bobby Schmurda. You know what I'm saying? They all in there smiling, looking at him buck dance on the table. Hey, because they had need of that guy, man. And look at him now. He probably couldn't revive his music career if he tried. You know.
Even the devil probably get disgusted with these niggas after a while. Like, damn, you willing to do all this? You trying to bend over already? You already done bent over, and you trying to bend over again. And bend over, like, a lot of them do get popped, but bend over in a sense is you giving up your integrity, period. You're already spiritually bent over.
Right.
So then what's it to you to do that, to actually bend over? And then at that point, it's like, all right, well, that just comes with the territory. Sacrifice a family member, bend over, go to a freak off, you know?
Right. Hey, one of the main things you hear these musicians, whether rapper or singer or songwriter, they always want to. You would think they would want to hold on to their artistic freedom. You know, write the type of music that they want, but these labels they force you to put out what they want you to put out. So you really bend over and you sell who you are. Hey, they even own your name. Look what the move Prince had to do to get out of his record deal. He changed his name to what the artist formerly known as, and then he turned his name to that little symbol. You know, you got it out.
So verse 6 again. If he have need of thee, he will deceive thee and smile upon thee and put thee in hope. He will speak thee fair and say, what wantest thou?
Hey, I give you whatever you want. Hey, the sky's the limit. What's the shit that was on the blimp with Scarface? The world is yours. You know, you got it.
Verse 7. And he will shame thee by his meats.
You know, everything that he could offer you, the money, the fame, the airtime, fake time on the different music award shows and Oscars and all that shit. You got it, bro.
Mhm. Continuing, until he have drawn thee dry twice or thrice.
Hey, hey, he will. Hey, this devil will flip you upside down by your feet and shake all the change out your pocket once he's done, man. They say he will make you drive twice or thrice. Hey, when you see these a lot of these musicians and actors, they look done afterwards. Like I seen a video on if brothers remember the group Soul for Real, like they was like they older men now, and this one guy was like, "Hey, hit that note." They were singing that song, "My Love," and then he was like, it was like he said one more time, and they was like, "Yo, we gotta singing this shit." And a lot of them one hit wonders, they gotta keep performing that same shit because that's all they could offer the label because they didn't really want to, I guess, go the whole distance with that crossing over or bending over. But a lot. Hey, I just seen Cameo. That guy, the lead singer from Cameo, he was in a wheelchair out performing. The brother Arnaud went to a show, and I was one of them old school R&B groups. They are Ron Osley had to sit in a chair and do his whole performance. Hey, he was when he was on the top of his game, man. Hey, he was one of the best out there. But hey, you belong to them really till you die, man. You got it out.
Hey, real quick, sorry, I wanted to read one part in the GNT, right? It says, Sirach 13:7 in the GNT, he will feed you until you are embarrassed. Finally, when he has drained you 2 or 3 times over, he will laugh at you. So exactly, feed you until you're embarrassed. So you know that he'll get you into this lifestyle, that luxury lifestyle. You getting all this shit, you doing all this, and then before you know it, you're played out, and you're trying to continue this lifestyle that's not even sustainable. You see, like that dude O'Shea Duke Jackson, which he's basically just a gossip blogger now, gossip podcaster. That nigga, he fell off. But anyways, he did a video on Black China, and that's another bitch that got played out. But a lot of these women in Hollywood, you see what they're doing is they're turning from the whoredom route, and they trying to act like they cleaned up women. That's what the biggest whores oftentimes do. They'll come out and pop out a Muslim one day, or they'll pop out a Christian one day. And even some of them, they try to pop up as an Israelite.
Yeah. What's her name? What's the girl that won American Idol?
Fantasia.
Fantasia. She was just here in Baltimore doing Artscape. She popped. You said pop up. She popped up as Israelite.
Oh, for real? Wow, I didn't even know that. That's
yeah,
crazy.
she claimed her and her boyfriend, but it's a video of them saying that they know they're the children of Israel, and yeah. Yep.
Well, hey, I mean, ultimately, if they're sincere, that's different. But we know how these Hollywood types move. So whenever we see them coming to truth, we look at them with an extreme eye of suspicion. But yeah, the point being, they all pop up on this ultra religious tip to try to overwhelm the fact that they were the biggest hoes on planet Earth, and they ain't even sincere. They doing it because they see a lot of Jakes, they did the switcheroo when Trump got in office. They try to make the conservative spin because they see that's the popular thing. If 70% of Americans voted for it, that's what's in right now, being a conservative. And I'm not gonna be long when we get back to the topic, which this is along the lines of the topic, anyways. But they did that switcheroo like Stephen A. Smith because they're just gonna try to go wherever they can get more money, wherever they're gonna get more views and more advertising money and all that. So these people, their loyalty is for sale, man. You see, whereas the loyalty of the elect is locked in on the Lord, is not for sale. There's nothing you could do. There's no amount of money you could offer. The Rothschilds could come up to the apostles with $1 trillion bag and they'll turn it down, because that's the type of spirit the Lord has on them. Of course, we say Lord's will, but they've also been tried and tested and true, through these things. They've been offered bags, and you've seen a lot of the old men from One West, they fell out and they sold out because they were offered a bag, like Nate. Which we don't have nothing concrete, but it don't take a rocket scientist to figure out that the dude sold out, when he stopped teaching the name of the Lord. But that's what they did. They took a bag. And that's where we could come up with, well, actually, you have some more on this? So, okay, you can continue with that.
Yeah. I think it's like 1 or 2 more verses. Going back to verse 7, it says, until he have drawn thee dry twice or thrice, And at the last he will laugh thee to scorn. Afterward, when he seeth thee, he will forsake thee and shake his head at thee.
You got it, right?
Yeah,
You got
so
it.
I was Miyashia.
Oh no, whoever. You got it, bro.
Go ahead, Doc.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, I mean, like you brothers were saying, after he's done using you, then he laughs at you to scorn at the end. Like you brothers said, giving examples of all these individuals, which uh even with this is going a little off topic, but with the AI stuff, all this stuff, artificial intelligence, how it's looking so realistic. After soon he won't need you artists and you movie directors no more. It'll just AI will just do it. Even in video games, like Call of Duty, if you play Call of Duty, the newest one, well, it's old now, but it's the latest one, Call of Duty 6. A lot of people were realizing like one of the loading screens, it has a Santa and has 6 hands on it. And people are like, why the hell does Santa have 6 hands? Because it's AI generated. So people realize like, oh, you guys ain't even making these wallpapers or these loading screens yourselves. You just have AI doing it. It's like, yeah, even the voice actors, there's like a whole voice actor strike because with AI, you can just have AI sound just like the person. And it's like, hey, what's the difference? So
Come.
very soon you ain't gonna need them celebrities, Cardi B, all that type of stuff. Oh, you enjoying this time with Stefan? Soon you're gonna be outplayed, lady. Oh yeah. They ain't gonna need you anymore.
Come. Hey, I heard Apostle Tahar mention the Google video AI video maker called VO. I was going to look at a couple of the videos on YouTube, but I looked at a couple, man, and it's like they got little 3-minute movies and shit. Like that can definitely take over the movie industry, even the music industry. Like a few years ago, they had that concert with Project Bluebeam with Tupac did a concert at Coachella and a couple other dead artists. So and this AI stuff is looking like realistic. You know, so they really don't have no need for a lot of this entertainment and sports and things like that, man. But yeah, that's it, bro. You got to shut them up.
All right, Con. So yeah, when the brother gets back, we can get into the at the beginning of the movie Sinners. You got Smoke and Stack. I think Smoke was the blue one. He wore the blue, and then Stack was the one that wore like the burgundy or red. His chick, the big heavy set chick, she was the one that was narrating the movie at the beginning, and she was saying how I forgot along the lines what she was saying, but basically different nations of people, which I have here. You have Ireland, Choctaw, and West Africans, and they all have something similar when you look them up. So we could look them up just so you can see like the spiritual connections between them, because our people was because it's played by Michael B. Jordan, but Smoke is the one in the blue, and then Stack is the one in the burgundy or red. But what is it? Our people, Slakia, our people were scattered throughout all nations, so our people are gonna look like different nations. So if you get into the Ireland, I'll let you know what they call the Ireland. You could just put Ireland, and it's called Fili. Oh no, you could just use the Google, because my bad, you ain't gonna have to go to Wikipedia. Oh damn, it's actually there. Actually is good information right there. Actually, now I look at it.
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah, the
That's
Google
good.
overview just gives just simple, yeah. So it says there for these were like music, like she was saying, music in the beginning has like a spiritual power to a degree, able to connect people and things like that, and even attract in the movie certain demons, certain evil spirits. And she mentioned the Ireland, right? The Ireland people, who I think she called it the Philly. This is what they had. And when you look it up, it says in ancient Ireland, the Philly, or maybe Phili, were an elite class of professional poets, historians, and lawgivers. They were also known for their skills in prophecy and divination, and were often associated with monasteries, if that's the word.
Yep.
Their primary role was to preserve and transmit the oral tradition of the ruling class, including genealogy, historical tales, and legal knowledge. Now, we don't get into that whole divination thing, but it shows you that that sounds very similar to Israel, right? Passed down to the traditions, right? The scriptures, the prophecies, just pass it down. Teach this unto faithful men, right? Keeping the thing going. I believe could you click the see more? Maybe there's a little bit more in there. Okay, so lawgivers, judges. So it's pretty much the same thing.
Mm.
Now that's the Ireland. Now, if you could look up Choctaw and put fire keepers is what they're called. Choctaw is Choctow. Yep. And you're gonna see it's pretty much the same thing. Right. It says in Choctaw culture, fire keepers refers to individuals who traditionally maintained and managed the fire, which was central to many cultural practices and ceremonies. These individuals were not just fire watchers, but also custodians of oral history, sacred stories, and traditional knowledge passed down through the generations around the fire. Same thing, passing down the lineage, passing down the history. Same thing like what Israel did, right? Because our people were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and our people were here in the land of America, and those Choctaw were Israelites, right, of the northern tribe. And you see the same thing: guardians of tradition, storytellers and educators, preservers of knowledge, symbolic representation. You see the same thing. The last one we're going to go into. You could put West Africa, and it's called griots.
AI. She narrated these. She narrated this in the beginning, or when she
Yeah,
was speaking. Oh
yeah,
shit.
right. And pretty much the same thing again. The griots are West African storytellers, singers, musicians, and oral historians who play a vital role in preserving and transmitting cultural heritage, history, traditions. They are not just entertainers, but also educators, diplomats, and advisors, often holding a revered position excuse me, and their communities. So essentially, just to, keep it very simple, you see the connection here between Israel, between the Ireland Philly, the Choctaw Firekeepers, and the West African griots. They all have something similar. Through music, what? They were able to tell stories, keep the history, keep the culture, keep the traditions going, right? And like I mentioned, I can't remember where that precept is, but I think it was Apostle Paul telling Timothy, teach this unto faithful men. And essentially, that's what we do. Just keep passing down the same thing that you've learned, pass it down to faithful men. And that's the history of our people, of passing down the history, the righteous men passing down the history and passing it down to other men that would teach the same thing. That's why we have the scriptures today.
Hey, you want me to read it?
Oh, you have it? Okay, yeah.
2 Timothy 2:2. And the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also.
Right. See, very simple, straight to the point. So that's the same thing that these men uh who are Israelites, because again we were scattered throughout all these different nations, because the men would mingle with the women of the other nations, so they would look like other nations, but they're not Ireland, they're not Choctaw, we're not Africans, we're Israelites. And you can see that spiritual connection, because they were doing the same things that the Israelites would do, like Apostle Paul told Timothy, uh commit to faithful men who should be able to teach others also. So what Paul learned, Timothy, I'm giving this to you. And now, Timothy, you're going to take this and now give this to other faithful men who are going to pretty much keep the tradition, keep the teachings going, and pass it down. And that's what happened in like the first minute of the movie, she was narrating that. I just want to bring that out just to show you the connection, just to show you that, like the other precept that talks about the new song, right? Music is very I don't want to say vital, but music is a thing that our people really like. Our people are really connected to music. Even the guy, I know the actor's name. I think it's Delroy Lindo. I forgot the character's name in the movie, but he was telling the guy Sammy, which his name is actual Samuel, but I guess they call him Sammy for like a nickname. Um, he told him that music is our blood. It's like it's not something that they gave us. I think it's like our religion or something like that. I can't remember. I didn't really rewind that part too much. Like there were scenes where, because like the website you give me, it's great, but it's like a whole bunch of ads, and I just kept getting irritated.
Yeah,
It would
yeah.
pop up. But
Hmm.
like he was explaining to him before they got the whole juke joint set up that it's like that music is like our religion. It's like Esau didn't give that to us. We brought that with us when we came over here, right? And
Right.
that's something that Esau can't give us. He can't give us the spirit. We've always had that in us because of
Right.
our connection to the Heavenly Father, because of who we are.
Hey, look at the spiritual Negro spirituals that they were saying on the plantations. You know, that's exactly what we brought over here with us. And Delroy Lindo character name was Delta Slim in the movie Sinners.
Okay, Con.
You had a precept
Yeah.
real quick to add to that. This is Sirach 12, and I'm gonna just get straight to the point. Sirach 12 and 13. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beasts? So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? You see, so another central theme of the movie was this whole thing about letting them in, letting them in to this, this concert, this music, letting them into the house, which you could look at that house as the prophets, even though there was a lot of wickedness that was happening in the house. When you look at it, the way I saw that was that represented Israel. We all went off. We were doing those same things, that a lot of those wicked things that we saw happen in the movie. A lot of us, before we came into the truth, were doing those things. But at the end, basically they repented. They came out of those things and came to the light.
Uh, and that also where they was in that barn, it was actually a slaughterhouse.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. So, going back to the precept though, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent? That serpent, all right now is Esau Edom, the main one, the main serpent, because he's the serpent from the beginning, all right, as it is written in the book of Revelation, the 20th chapter. All right, that serpent. And there was one scene in the movie, which I'm gonna mention it so I don't forget it, which I spoke to brothers about this scene, which was very heavy. In the beginning of the movie, there's a rattlesnake that they find. I think it's in whatever, they have like a wagon or a chariot, right? And
Yeah, it was a truck.
Yeah, it was
truck.
in the
Oh,
back
it
of
was a
the
truck, right? Yeah, it wasn't. I'm thinking, yeah. Okay, so it was in their truck. And there's a serpent, and he ends up crushing the head of the serpent, right? But with a scripture that came to mind, which I'll pull it up real quick, in Genesis. All right, he basically destroyed the serpent, and I think the one that did it was the one that ended up living to the end, which was Smoke, right?
Con.
Smoke was the one that killed the serpent, right?
Yeah. Which his name also is Elijah. Now, Salaka, real quick, I remember some people, I think I seen on Instagram, some people were saying that Elijah means man of God, which it doesn't. Elijah means my God, because in the Hebrew, it's Aliyah, which means my God. That's
Right.
why people were getting confused, thinking when Yahushua was on the cross saying he called for Elias. No, he's not calling for Elias. He's saying the heavenly, like, my God, my God.
Yep. It sounds Alaya, and it's like basically saying if somebody said my God, or my God, like separately. You know, the name Elijah is there's basically those two words together, Alayah. But I'm gonna read this real quick. Genesis 3 and 14, and Yahweh God said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life, which represents Esau, Edom, being in a confused state. Everywhere he goes, he brings his confusion and his violence and his death, right? And the point really is in the 15th verse in reference to him stabbing that serpent in the head, right? And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Now, when you go into that word for bruise, matter of fact, I'm going to pull it up real quick. When you go into the word there for bruise, it's really basically dealing with crushing or destroying, right? Because, you know, Esau, he was able to, you know, when you look at somebody getting bruised in the heel, I'm gonna get it in the NLT. All right. Genesis 3 and 15. It says, and I will cause hostility between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. Now, who is the serpent? Esau, Edom. All right, the so-called white man, going back to, you know, that serpent, and also Cain and his descendants. Okay. But it says, and between your offspring and her offspring. All right. So who's the offspring of the woman? Now, I've heard knuckleheads use this scripture to say that a woman has a seed. No, the woman receives seed, which this woman was the wife of Adam, which he's the one that's planting the seed of righteousness. And that's where you get Abel from. And then after Abel obviously was put to death by Cain, you had Seth after him. So the seed of the righteous was going to go through the woman. That's why this was mentioned, right? Not because a woman inherently has seed. You know, you got to be an asshole and a fucking dickhead to think that that this means that a woman actually has a seed. You know, she receives a seed. But it says, he will strike your head, right? And you will strike his heel. Okay, so when you deal with a heel strike will definitely put you down, but it's not going to kill you. Whereas a strike to the head is deadly, right? So ultimately, when Yahweh Shai comes back, he's going to crush the serpent. He's going to crush the head of the serpent. And that scene where Michael B. Jordan, as smoke, stabbed the serpent and crushed it and killed it, that was scriptural, man. And I believe the director, Ryan Coogler, he definitely watches our videos, man.
Yep.
And you know, the brothers are big out there in LA. I believe I don't know if he's from, I think he's from Oakland or something like that, right?
Yeah, he's from Oakland.
But yeah, I mean, Cali.
You got the brothers in the Bay Area, so and they you know, they went viral out there.
Yeah,
You know, so he definitely ran across them brothers.
that's it. And you got the brothers going strong in LA. So
yeah,
right. So the word there for bruise is what? Shawap. Shawap, right? If I'm not mistaken, that would be it, right?
Khan, you're correct. You're correct.
Shawap, Khan, the water. So it says bruise, to bruise, crush, gape upon, desire, seize, strike out, to fall upon, bruise. Right. Yeah. When you deal with crush, you know, if somebody's head is crushed, you know, if you know, I'm not gonna mention it. I'll mention it to you brothers after. But there was a certain show that happened recently where it reminded me of that, somebody's head getting crushed. I know Shalimar probably knows what I'm talking about, but that is exactly what Yahweh Shai is going to do to the serpent in the end. And if you look at it throughout the movie, Smoke is the one that ended up prevailing, right? And he's Michael B. Jordan, the Israelite. You got it.
So, I was gonna say, and if you want to, if you ever out in the woods, you know, or around snake country or whatever, you can't take a snake out by the tail. You gotta attack where you gotta take out where his venom lies. And well, like most animals with teeth, like you gotta take out the head. You know.
Yep, that's it. That's it. You gotta go straight for the head, and that's what the Lord is. You know, the head also represents what? The elites. You see, so going right for the head, not the tail, because if you take out the tail, the snake can still live on, right? But if you take that head off, he's done for, and that's what Hamashiach Yahushua is going to come back to do. Whereas they bruised us in the heel. You know, we had to walk with a limp for some time. Okay, during the time of slavery, everything we went through, the Maccabees, the Roman Empire, 70 AD, all the way leading up to now and into the time of Jacob's trouble. So ultimately, Israel is going to prevail in the end, though, even though it seems like the odds are stacked against us. But yeah, that was it on that point. You got it.
Okay, Con. So after, yeah, because then after that intro scene, there's a couple of things that happen. What was it? We get introduced to Sammy. He's picking cotton, and then yeah, eventually he meets up with his cousins, and like the scene you mentioned where Smoke stabs the snake in the head, and then afterwards, Shamyar, if you want to go into that part, because you were talking about that part where Smoke essentially he goes to like that one area and he goes to the Moabites
Oh
or the
yeah.
Ammonite part.
Oh yeah, he went into the town where all the stores at, and it just pretty much shows you how, like even in our hoods now, you know, you got the chink stores, the Chinese food stores. Moab and Ammon has always been around us, you know, and they even show you. And I used to watch some westerns, and you would always see Moab and Ammon like in the background. Well, they played a major part over here in America because with the gunpowder and the dynamite, you know, the rail systems and the tunnels and everything was built. But you know, they always had they always had a way to make money off of us, you know, some way, shape, or form. They Moab and Ammon was always around, Jake. Hey, look at Jamaica now. China pretty much owns the island, you know, and they got a lot of Moabite babies out there with those Benjamite women. But yeah, that was it.
I got a pre to add to what you just mentioned, right? Because what does the Lord say? That the dogs lick the wounds, right?
Um,
See if I can pull it up. That's what, Luke 16? Yeah, so the heathen nations, you know, they were able to always capitalize off our downfall. And us not knowing who we were, it's easier for them. They could sell you shrimp fried rice. They could sell you this, sell you that. You know, they could have you worshiping their gods and, you know, influencing you in some way. It says Luke 16 and 19, there was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen and fared sumptuously every day, you know, dealing with the elite of this world, you know, these wicked, these Edomites, these Rothschilds, these Bilderbergs, the elite. It's the, like Apostle Tahar says, the super elite. They're on top, okay? And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate full of sores, which represents who? Israel. We're that beggar who's in a low estate, who's poor and fucked up, right? And desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores, right? So the heathen nations came and they were able to capitalize off of our downfall, capitalize off of us being in a low estate. You know, they set up shop. You're going to see that Chinese food store. You're going to see that all of them. They might have a liquor store right in the hood. It's like a cookie cutter experiment of we just going to give you niggas this shit. You know, bodegas, Chinese restaurant, and liquor store.
hair
Okay,
store.
and then dump some drugs and some guns in the hood, and then we'll see what happens.
You can't leave out Eve. They got the hair stores and all that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Plus the beauty supply. That's the other one I forgot. Beauty supply.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're gonna find in every single hood, no matter where you at. It's the same shit, and they all gonna be capitalizing off of us. But yeah, that was it.
Con. And then if we switch to Stack, who was the one that was wearing the burgundy or red, I know last time it was a while ago you talked about Shamir. You made some points about the the one part with the barrel of laughs, and I think there was something else.
Oh yeah. I think it was a scene where they had the laughing barrel sitting to the sidewalk because Jake couldn't laugh in public. But you remember the other point I made?
I'm trying to remember because I think it was. I don't remember. Damn.
Or the Israelite corner?
No, not that.
Oh,
It
okay.
was something else. Hold on. Maybe if I look at the text message, hold on, I'll see.
Kind of.
But if you want, you could talk on the barrels of laugh part because it was when, what would you say his name was? Slim, was it?
I think it was Slim. Yeah.
Yeah, when he saw those guys that was he used to be one of them on the side. He told him to keep the head up,
Yeah. Yeah.
and as they passed by, I think he was there. You said that they had like some barrels near them or something like that.
Yeah. I think I remember seeing somebody mentioned it in one of them I think it was one of those videos where they like kind of break the movie down.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 minutes long, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, they kept laughing barrels around where Jake at because they couldn't laugh around Edomites.
Yeah, I got a precept for you on that. This
Kind
is Obadiah 1 and 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever.
You got it.
Yeah. So when you mentioned the laughing barrel, it just made me think like, how do these Edomites have any excuse? Or like, like the Matt Walshes of the world try to justify what they did. Like, well, this was just a better way, but they don't ever focus on alligator bait, laughing barrel, separated families, buck breaking, all of the detestable, terrible things. That's beyond just we're going to bring a better society here. That's a pure hatred. That's a
Dirty.
biblical, ancient hatred.
Yeah.
That's why shame is going to cover you and you're going to be cut off forever because of you Edomites, the hatred that you had for your brother Jacob, which is the so-called Black, Latino, and Native American man.
Right. Hey, you talk about the shameful spirit of Derby dosing, tarred and feathered. Now, I always correlate that one scripture with what's the scripture? A man will have care for his beasts, but this devil look at us as if we beasts. But did they show any care for us? I know that scripture is not talking about that, but I kind of correlated with that. The manifold of the scriptures, understandings. But if a man have care for his beast, wouldn't he consider us beasts? He showed no care for us. He would work us from can't see to can't see. Pretty much work you on a plantation till you die, and that's going on to this day. They up the retirement age almost to 70 now. You gotta.
Hey, James 5, the laborers who have plowed the field that they took no account for, that's Jake, and also Issachar still in them GMO fields. They don't have no health safety concern for them because a lot of them are illegals anyways. And they just been fucking with us, for thousands of years, man. And there's no excuse for it, man. They're not gonna be able to get their way or reason and rationale of how they're gonna get up out the situation. They're gonna have to deal with the judgment that's set before them, man.
Right. The scripture also say they furthered the affliction. They took it further than they actually should have. You got it.
Yeah. What you said also, they considered us 3/5 of a man.
Oh yeah.
So at the end of the day, Esau will actually have more care for a wild animal than he will for an actual Israelite, for a so-called black man or a Latino. They'll care. Look at how they treating the Northern Kingdom when they kicking them out this country, man. Meanwhile, they built this shit, and you wouldn't have, all of these menial jobs going into you Americans. You don't want to go into you lazy motherfuckers ain't going into them fields and working like Issachar does, man. To get them them crops, man. You drenched in Monsanto pesticides and shit. You don't got no safety gear on. You don't put a hazmat suit. They just throw their ass out there, man. And then after you do all this shit, you serve these ungrateful fucking bastards for all this time, how do they treat you? They kick your ass out to the curb, man. Send you to a Salvadorian prison. You know, which hey, Jake got the judgment because they're going off, but you know, you're gonna have to pay for what the fuck you did here. You know, there's gonna be a recompense, and that was a heavy part of that movie too. Was you know, righteous recompense. You know, vengeance in the end. Yeah, but that's it for me right now.
Yeah. So I got 2 points. One, since you brought out this precept, and then we could bring out James 5 because they did show us picking cotton. And remember, we always tie everything in the scripture, tie the things that happen in the world to the scriptures. Because our people say, "How do you know where the Israelites?" Right? There may be some of that doubt. Well, you saw us picking cotton, right? In the movie, that is the thing that we went through. And Deuteronomy 28th chapter talks about what the one that is above you, roughly paraphrasing, will get on very high, and you will be brought down very low. We were brought down very low when we were brought here in America. But that verse 10, I want you to read it again. But I'm gonna try to mention the story when it was Smoke and Sammy in the car, and they had Slim with them. And it was after they drove past those I guess those guys that were like they were digging in the ground something. They had like the black and white jail.
Yeah, they was a chain gang.
Okay. They after it passed by, he told a story about how him and another one of his friends got away. I forgot what the name of the friend was, but they got caught for something. How Esau wanted them to sing a song. He said how they sang song all night for them, and I think that goes into what is that Psalm was that 137. They required of us a song, sing us one of those songs of Jerusalem. So it shows you right there, like yo, they always want us to sing songs for them. And the main part of this movie was what singing the song, right? That's what attracted that Remick, the like the main vampire guy. But later on, he tells a story about how his friend did something stupid that he wasn't supposed to do, and how they lynched his friend, and they even cut off his manhood. And you could bring that precept again in verse 10, because that verse 10 explains what Slim explained what happened to his friend in the movie.
And just so I don't forget, another thing too was them KKK guys. They were the ones that originally owned the juke joint.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And we can circle back to that after this point.
Yep.
Obadiah 10, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever.
Right. So like the guy Slim was telling in the movie, here it is, whatever it was that he did. Now, I don't think I got to watch the movie again, but I don't think what he did was that crazy, but they lynched him and they even cut off his manhood. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Elder Yashwamba brought out the history of where they prophesy at. And I think there was something that happened to where somebody got lynched as well. And I think like they chopped up his body and like gave it to everybody. And maybe like even there's certain accounts of Esau taking some of our body parts and eating it and stuff like that. All that was violence. And mind you, these are Christians, by the way, as well, that are doing it. Christian Edomites.
Yeah.
Right? You Jakes that like to say, oh, Jesus Christ this and love everybody. This is what Christians did to you. This is what they did. That's the violence that's talking about there in verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee. That's why all this information, beginning with the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, is coming out. And what? That shame, because, yo, this is what you did. This is why you have people like Matt Walsh. They don't want to feel that shame. So they got to come out and say, I'm proud about what we did. I don't care how bad it was. I don't care how humiliating it was. I'm proud about what we did. I don't care because they don't want to feel that shame. Because what? All eyes are now looking on it. It's like,
That shame for the glory.
right. It's like, damn, that's what she was doing. Because now everybody, the blinders are off. Now everybody's seeing them for what they are. And it's like, we don't want to be around you if that's what you do to people. It's like, because think about it, even though, you know, they will be cut off, we're still related, right? They're the most closely related people to us. So it's like, if that's what you do to your own brother, your own close relatives, what would you do to other people? Why would we want to be around you?
Hey, you got that that what you spoke on them eating, Jake. You got that book, The Delectable Negro. You know, shows you that they was into the cannibalism and eating Jake, taking their hair, cutting the afros off and stuffing it in chairs, making leather coats out of Jake's skin. But you got a shot, Shalimar.
Oh no, the brother has it because that's the other part that I forgot was the leather from human skin as well. Yeah, that was another thing as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it says in the 1880s in Philadelphia, which, you know, a lot of times they try to only attribute slavery to down south. It was happening up north too.
Yep.
In Long Island, you got on Shelter Island. One time I was doing ride sharing and I ended up driving a double to Shelter Island. Shelter Island is an island within Long Island because you got the two forks. Long Island forks out at the end of it into the South Shore, the South Fork and the North Fork. The South Fork is the Hamptons. The North Fork, it goes off into it's like, you know, farms and shit. But basically, in between those two forks, you have an island. It's called Shelter Island, and they had plantations over there too. You see? And why did they have it on Shelter Island? Because you would have to swim across. Even if you did somehow escape, you weren't going to get far anyways, because you would have to swim across the water just to get back to Long Island to get away. And a lot of those lands are also called. You have a Gadite reservation in the Hamptons, Shinnecock.
Mm.
You have a few Gadite reservations. You have Shinnecock, and you have another one. I forget what it's called. But all types of fucked up shit be happening there. But the point being, you know, they had them big time up north too. Okay, so they try to hide that history. Like up north was the merciful Edomites. Like, no, you motherfuckers was just as bad. Okay, leather from human skin, right? And it says that in the birthplace of America, some white locals used the skin of black people to make clothes, including shoes. Now, when you look online, certain sites they'll say that, oh, well, that's just an urban legend, but you know, it's proven. Okay, certain governors, you know, had in those days had excuse me, had slave skin leather, man. Patent leather shoes made out of Jake's skin. How sick do you have to be? That goes beyond like, and none of the heathen, you know, the heathen have done some fucked up shit, the rest of them, but Esau is the one that really took it to the next fucking level and revealed who he is. He revealed it. And vocab alone try to act like it's so unbelievable that we're saying that these are the Edomites. Well, they had a hatred against their brother Jacob. There's never been a slavery in the history of earth where this level of hatred has been exemplified, man.
AI
history.
Oh, my bad. Type in slave hair couch in Google.
What'd you say? Slave
hair couch.
Hair couch?
Yeah.
Damn. Slave hair couch?
Yep.
Yeah, Craftsman finds slave hair. Is this the one?
Yep, is the one that Newsweek one and that one.
Mm-hmm.
That one too. Yep.
Yep. It says Craftsman finds slave hair in 200-year-old chair.
Yeah, the cushioning for the chair was stuffed with slave hair.
That's fucking crazy, man.
And they got a picture of it on Instagram, and also it used to be on Google.
Which one is it? One of these?
Yep, one of them. Yep, that's the one. Yep. They show the springs and then it's the human.
Yeah, look, they have one. They have a pillow. This was from a pillow.
Yep.
Sick shit, man. Wow. Yeah, you devils gonna pay, man. You're gonna fucking pay. And we're not gonna be demented and twisted with how we do it. We're gonna be just putting pure judgment on your ass and righteousness, man. You know, lightning whips, you know, fiery whips, all types of judgment, man. we're not gonna be, you know, obviously we're not gonna be buck breaking and doing all types of nasty ass shit that you do, you know. But we are gonna get our righteous recompense. Yeah, you got it though.
Khan, I'm trying to think. Is there any more other parts in the movie? I mean, then it gets to the scene with the where they're inside the you know, the juke joint, they singing, dancing, all that type of stuff, and then they have the part where Sammy, you know, he sings his part, and then you see like how her not Stack, Smoke's chick narrates. I think she talks again, and you start seeing Jake musicians, and you know, because you had at one point the black woman twerking at a certain point in the movie in the corner where the Moab or Ammon was at doing their part. And like they just have them there, and you see like how the music connects from like the past and the future, and that's the spiritual part. But my thing that I did look at, I took with spiritual because the main vampire guy Remick, he was he definitely wanted to come in there because you know because they're no longer regular humans, so that's why they was able to hear so far away. Because it's like, how can you hear so far away him singing, right? Especially in a barn as well. It's like it's gonna be kind of secluded. Like, yeah, they may be loud, but you ain't gonna really hear one person out of so many people as well. So you know they got heightened hearing. And what I took from that is that Esau is attracted to the new song. And when I say attracted to the new song, it's like when he hears, like, because that's what Remick was attracted to. Sammy, which his name is Samuel, he was attracted to him because he heard him singing. And Esau, when he hears us singing the new song, it's like, oh, I got to stop you guys from singing this song. Because essentially, Jake is out there singing a song as well, right? They're singing the song of Jesus Christ, but why is he not coming after them? But when, like I mentioned, with Sammy, it's like, yo, I got to come after you. And it's the same thing when Esau hears this song, this new song. It's like, no, I got to come after you guys. That's why he was so adamant, Remick, on getting in there. Like, yo, he really wants to get in there. Even at the end of the movie, like when he almost got Sammy, he was like, you could tell, like, really happy because, like, yo, I'm going to turn you. But I think Smoke saved him at the end there, which was funny. Sammy, which is Samuel, and Elijah, basically two names of two prophets, basically made it out there at the end. I don't think they ever told us Stack's name. I don't think they ever told us his name. No, I don't think they told us his name at all in the movie.
No, I don't remember it. But that whole thing of them, just to land back, that whole thing of that them trying to infiltrate and come inside of that house because Sammy was extremely gifted musically, just like how the elect has been gifted with the new song. So it's like a moth to the flame. You know, the new song is really not for him, but it perks up his antennas because he's like, yo, this is this is a danger to me. I have to infiltrate this. I have to stop this. I have to try to subvert this. And that's why they set up agents, spies, different people to try to infiltrate. And when they come, they act like, you know, they would come to the door and they would ask questions and be like, yo, like, come on, man, you're not acting normal, man. Like something's wrong with you. Like, no, I'm the same. I just want to get in, man. Come on, it's me, man. It's just I'm the same old guy. Like they'll try to act like they down with you, and they'll use our own people. Because once certain of them got bit, or they got compromised by Esau, basically, they
Cornbread.
would come back to the door and they would try to act like, oh no, nothing happened, man. Like it's just me. Like, why are you not gonna let me in? And they would start asking them certain questions, and it would be like suspect answers, like, nah, bro, it's something ain't right with you. And then it would be exposed. This nigga turned into a vampire.
Yep. Hey, they showed that like with the flashbacks, how the music changed from a message actually being in it and they showed a little scene with the gangster rap and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the different genres. I think they played on the megahertz or the frequency of the music, how it's played. How it could and the music changed the spirit of the people as well. You know.
Yep. And that gangster rap goes back to Esau, man. Well, Cain, which we know is the Edomites before the flood.
Oh yeah, that diss song.
He had that song, you know, I've slain a man to my wounding.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was, I think, Lamech, right?
Yep. That was one of the first diss tracks.
Right, the first diss track, first hit him up. You know, and he was that was the first gangster rap. Like he was like
first gangster rap.
the original Tupac. You know, you had Meyer Lansky going back to that time. He was a Amalekite gangster. The original mobsters were all Amalekites.
Yep. Hey, they always push the Italians as the mobsters. No, the original mobsters was them goddamn was Amalek, man.
Yeah. And that's them throwing a smoke screen to try to cover themselves. They'll just throw it because those Sicilians are Jake anyways. The
Oh yeah.
Godfather movie, but they're the ones that was really pushing that shit, man. And then Jake, of course, would try to take it and make it into their own thing. But you know, that's why the scripture says they have overpassed the deeds of the wicked. Because Jake will take that gangster shit and take it to the next level. Like, damn, you know, like just straight up. You know, they'll turn into the savages that Esau always try to claim, like 21 Savage. You know?
They surpassed the deeds of the wicked. Like even early Hollywood, when Amalek pretty much started Hollywood. And when they came in as actors, you know, they would or producers, so like they would change their names to hide who they actually are, because they come over here with those you wish last names. They could be figured out, so they would change their name to like Fred Jacobs, or you know what I'm saying. But when in all actuality, they was Amalek. Like the old Solid movie actor Charlie Chapman, he was a Amalekite.
Yep. Will be crypto Jews, and they'll change their name.
Yep.
They come here, Ibrahim Ben Yahoo, and change his name to, you know, Frederick Johnson or some other shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some other shit just to try to hide who they are, because they know once they get exposed for being an Amalek, then the jig is up. People are up on their game, man.
Yeah.
I had you brothers had anything? I wanted to pull up a precept.
You got it.
We can get it ready to kind of close it out, but I did have a couple more in mind and just get into the conclusion of the movie. But this is Isaiah 28, and straight to the point. Isaiah 28 and 15. Because he has said, we have made a covenant with death. And now many of them in the movie, you know, they end up getting infiltrated by Esau, man. You know, but then they'll try to come back among the prophets, which is represented in Sammy, and you know, really it was Sammy and Smoke. Those two represent the elect, which I looked at it as like the two witnesses. That's kind of how, you know, in the spirit, that's how I looked at it.
Right.
But it said we have made a covenant with death. All right. So when you get into those 501c3 organizations, these different Israelite camps, Genesis, for example, saying that the lake of fire is not going to be America, it's going to be somewhere else. We know that final judgment, which is the lake of fire, is going to be America, Babylon the Great. So you got to be on the fucking spiritual short bus to think otherwise. You know, but that's what them do. Them niggas look, you know, I'm going to just say it, them niggas look retarded, man.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, spiritually. You know what I'm saying? Because when you come off and then you wearing them hats looking foolish, you know, melon head ass niggas, man.
Yep.
Instead of sticking to what's there, you trying to get too deep. All right, but it says, and with hella we had agreement. You see, you're gonna be in that. You keep that up, you're gonna be in that lake of fire. You're gonna see right where it's at, man. All right, you're at agreement with hell, which is a lower state. All right, with the grave, okay, which that is embodied in Esau Edom. The scripture says what? He is as death, the grave, which cannot be satisfied. Paraphrasing it, because no matter what, you know, the cemeteries keep filling up. They're hungry. The earth is hungry for bodies, and it keeps pouring up. Even in the kingdom, we're going to be immune to death, but the heathen, they're still going to experience death. You see? That's why the elect, you know, Israel is going to be so special. What's going to be special about salvation if everybody has it? The elect are going to live forever. The scripture says the days of Israel are innumerable. So that's what's going to make the salvation and the new covenant, that's going to be the law, statutes, and commandments within the elect, so special, because they're going to be, you know, all Israel in that day, you know, including the 2/3 that's going to come back through the loins of the elect. it's all going to be perfect and you're going to live forever, right? But on this side, you did what? You made a covenant with death. You're in agreement with hell. Okay? When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us, for we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves. You see? And it was spiritual because his twin, somebody that you like, when you look at, Jake has that lingo, he'll be like, yo, twin, what up? Oh, twin, this, that, the other, right? He'll be like, yo, you my twin. Oh, what up, twin? And really, that's somebody that's like A alike, B alike type shit. Or somebody that you see as like somebody who's on your level or has a lot of traits like you, right? And him and his brother, which were twins, they were thick as thieves. But when that time came, he had to cut them off. He had to cut them off. And there be some brothers that, we know that there is false brethren amongst us. So when that time comes and they be revealed that they're not on the right side, they're not with or rather the Lord is not with them, then we have to be willing to cut that. The scripture says it's better to go into the kingdom maimed than to enter in. It's better to go into the kingdom maimed than to not enter in at all. Then your whole body be cast into hell, right?
Yeah, I forget which brother just did a video on that about castaways and fallouts. That pretty much you got to stay away from. And he brought that precept out that you just mentioned.
Yep, that's it. So it says, for we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves, right? Under falsehood. They hide under these different doctrines, they come at us, they got looking at us crooked because, of the way that we teach the scriptures the right way. They hide themselves under falsehood. 501c3 charter. Oh, we're an official organization. Well, if you were really legit, you would have a government contract and this and that. But we never needed none of those gimmicks to push this word, man. The Lord had the spirit on us, and we had the blueprint from the men that were given the spirit, the apostles and the elders that preceded us, and we kept with that. And that's been the greatest blessing, was to just keep the simplicity of Yahweh Shai in this doctrine, man, and not hide ourselves under falsehood. You see, hide ourselves under false prophecy, hide ourselves under false pretenses, man. That might sound good to the world, but in reality is all bullshit. You see? But yeah, that was it on that precept. You brothers have anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
Con. So, hey, I did want to mention one last thing. The conclusion of the movie was very spiritual as well, and then we can close this out. Where you had Sammy, right? He had basically he was on the verge of death, and he was coming for him, right? Remick, the vampire, was coming for him, and basically he was on the verge, and I think he hit him in the head with the guitar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and the guitar had silver in it, right? The silver disc.
Yeah.
It kills vampires. And then I think also at the end, Smoke saved his ass or something like that. Is that how it went?
Slaki, yeah. I watched, got close to the end, but not at the end. But yeah, he did hit him with the
guitar.
Hit him with the guitar. And I think something else. I know Smoke, yeah, it was Smoke came and saved him. So Smoke was, I think, the one that really ended him. But I think Sammy, when he hit him in the guitar, because like you said, silver, I think that impaled his head, and that really did a lot of damage. Which when Smoke came, then he was able to finish him off.
And then I think in the midst of that, the light, the daytime came. Which you could you can also, man, what's that scripture that mentions the day spring from on high? Day spring. Let me look it up.
Day spring or day star?
Oh, it's day spring. Luke, I got it. Luke 1:78. I'll just bring it out real quick. It says, I'll read Luke 1:77. To give knowledge, this is dealing with John the Baptist preparing the way before the Lord, right? To give knowledge of salvation, which salvation comes through Yahamashiach Yahushai, unto his people by the remission of their sins, through the tender mercy of our God, whereby the day spring from on high hath visited us, and that is through Yahweh Shai, the day spring has visited us. Now, when you go into that word day spring, right, which at that point the night was falling while all this was happening, but right when Sammy was about to be destroyed, the day spring came up and he was delivered, right? And the day spring, it says the morning light, all right? In the NLT, it says, because of God's tender mercy, the morning light from heaven is about to break upon us. The morning light being, obviously the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And you could also liken it unto the return of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, which it says, he will destroy them by the brightness of his coming. And when that happened, you had, when that happened at the end, and I'm going to just leave it at this, there was like a fiery whirlwind, right? That consumed him, that consumed Remick. And that's what's going to happen to this man, Esau, Edom, and his kingdom. They're going to be consumed in the end, all right? And the day spring from on high, which you could liken that unto Yahweh Shai, the new day, which will be, the kingdom. When Yahweh Shai comes and destroys his kingdom, that's it. From then on out, it's going to be, it's all going to be about the righteous rulership of the elect. All right, but that was it for me. You brothers got it.
And you know what's one more? I just realized when he returned to his father with that piece of that guitar still in his hand. It's almost like the prodigal son, even though his father was like a preacher, but he left that music and went back to his, to the so-called church or whatever. But that's what I kind of got from that.
Yep, he came true in the end. He was delivered. He was banged up. The righteous shall scarcely be saved, but in the end, he did make it.
Yeah.
I just have one quick thing. I didn't want to leave it out. So just to go back at the beginning of the movie, because the beginning of the movie connects to the end. Smoke and Stack, they buy the barn house from a guy. I think his name was Hogwood. It was an Edomite. And basically, when you finally get introduced to Remick in the movie, when he turns those two first people into vampires, he sees the clan costumes on them. So I think his name is Hogwood, with a couple of KKK people was gonna set up Smoke and Stack, where it was gonna be a slaughterhouse. So that's why at the end of the movie, after everything is done and Smoke is there by himself, he was gonna and I think Remick even reveals it in the middle of the movie how it was pretty much gonna be a slaughterhouse anyways, because if he didn't show up, Hogworth and them KKK dudes was going to show up anyways, and that just goes into Sirach 12 and 10. Never trust thy enemy, because here it is. You think that this guy's just giving you a deal, giving you a place where you and your people could be chill. And he even said it in the movie. Hogworth, he was like, "Oh, the clans, that's done away with," but we didn't see that in the movie. So it just shows you can never trust Esau. No matter what he says, no matter what he sells you, at the end he's going to try to deceive you or kill you at the end. And that goes for some of our people are going to have to learn that the hard way.
Yep.
That's it.
Absolutely. And if you remember, I know I keep saying last point, but what you said sparked something else, that they kept trying to, Remick kept offering them, like, why are you dealing with all this? You could live forever if you follow if you be a part of us, just like the serpent in the garden, you will not surely die.
Mm-hmm.
You're already suffering anyways. You might as well come and be a part of this. So to trade in, the blessing of the Lord for a temporary blessing, but ultimately they were able to overcome it, which the elect is going to be able to overcome the wiles of the devil.
Right.
See? Yeah, that's all I got, brothers.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. So, I'll close this out. Lord's will was edifying. With that, we're going to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh. Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Hashem Akafadash. Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom.